Horsing around with PWH. Puzzle time.
This puzzle could be something like, I'm going to tell him to point his tail between those two cones. Then I'm going to tell him to back up all the way through those other two cones. Keep going. And then I'm going to steer him by his tail. I can tell his tail to go around. I'm not telling him to go sideways, so I had to correct those front feet. Tell his tail to go around, not his front feet, nothing to do with his front feet. So I'm correcting the shoulder with my left hand, telling his shoulder, it has nothing to do with your shoulder. It has nothing to do with your shoulder. Okay? And I'm going to tell his hip to go the other way. Now, in order to do this puzzle, you can tell his shoulder has nothing to do with your shoulder. In order to do this puzzle, your horse has to know how to go backwards has nothing to do with the shoulder. How to go backwards has nothing to do with the shoulder. So I have to correct his assumptions because he tends to assume. Go straight back. Nope, 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 nope. Back. Nothing to do with your shoulder, nothing to do with your shoulder. Nope, nope, back. 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 Nothing to do with your shoulder. Good. That's it, that's it. Nothing to do with your hip. Back. 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 Now I want his front feet to stay right there. Walk his hind feet all the way around. And now go sideways over both cones. And wait. And wait. Stop moving. Good boy. Your eyes are watery. Huh? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let him roll. I just do a little something with him, right? I had a conversation with him. What was my conversation? He needed to know how to back up from in front of me. He needed to know how to hind yield, left and right. He needed to know how to hind yield left and right while in motion. That's a whole different element than just being able to yield left and right while in motion. He needed to know how to go sideways. He needed to understand when he started to assume sideways on each cone, as he was being asked to back around them, he saw a cone said sideways. I go over sideways cones all the time, so that's probably what you're going to have me do. He started to assume that. So I was able to communicate to him it has nothing to do with your shoulder, which then stopped the shoulder from proceeding to do any kind of sideways motion. And that's how I was able to keep him straight. So my conversation with him was yield your tail, back and yield your tail, back and yield your tail. Oh no, it has nothing to do with your shoulder. Don't move your shoulder. Don't cross over with your front feet. Yield your tail, back up, yield your tail. Then once we got to where, because he really loves to go sideways, then we got to where he, was at the end of the puzzle. And I said, okay, now we'll go sideways. And that's when I said, now your shoulders can be involved. So I've said no to your shoulders this whole time. And now I'm saying, yes, your shoulders can be involved. I like to, when they start to make assumptions, like if I tell a horse to go to the left and he starts assuming, or if I back a horse up with the intention of telling him to go left or right, and he assumes left, 90% of the time, unless I have a reason I would want to go to the left, I would tell him to go to the right. Just because I would want to make sure he always had it in the back of his mind, as horses should. Like we're not, like, do they really think that way? I don't know, but I want him to have the idea that, wait a minute, I better not assume because sometimes she tells me to go that way. So I do it as a pattern interrupt or an assumption interrupt. Okay, so that's really all. You can see I'm in my barn clothes. I'm really not out here to do any kind of, elaborate teaching. But this is the kind of stuff that I do when I'm bringing my horses in, when I'm bringing my horses out. Sometimes I use the arena space in my barn. Sometimes I use the round pen in my barn. Sometimes I use the round pen out here. Sometimes I use my track. It just kind of depends on my mood and where I'm feeling like going with the horses. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my dirty boy now and put him out with his friends and get started on my barn. So thank you for watching, and I hope that maybe you guys could submit some videos of you doing that puzzle, right? Just remember, if your horse doesn't get it, like if your horse starts to struggle with the backing up part or whatever, remember to just kind of have the mentality of, it's okay, you're going to get it. Let's try again. You know, or if they get emotional, be like, it's okay. Let's find a way to calm your feet down, and then we'll try again. Like, just kind of always have the we'll try again. Now, if your horse gets kind of aggressive or temper tantrum like, how I usually handle that is I usually say, you know, like if they throw a temper tantrum, I'll manage the temper tantrum however it's required of me. But then I'll say, that was cute. Now let's try again, right? So there's like, my tone is always, you know, conducive to what the mood is, but I always have the attitude of, let's try again. And I start from scratch. It's like going back to the starting line and running that sprint again. Let's see if we get a better time. Let's see if we can do a better job. Let's try again. Let's start again. Go back to start. Let's start again. And I have that mentality of start again. I'm not bringing my frustration from the last fail to the starting line. I always start again. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to grab my
Thank
horse
you
and
for
throw
watching.
him out.
Always remember this is supposed to be fun for both of you.